Hello, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to this sacral chakra focused practice. So the sacral chakra is the one that we really think about in terms of flow. It relates to our sense of connection, our creativity, our connection to the sensual side of our personality. So think of this sort of as like your plug-in to creativity. So we'll be working with the kidney bladder meridians, which are those that are associated in traditional Chinese medicine, as well as the element of water, which makes sense because we're working with our flow. We're going to be using an affirmation today. Affirmations are really great to help connect to chakras. So in our affirmation today, we're going to be focusing on repeating the words to ourselves, I am creative and connected, because this is your relationships as well. Props you might need as a block is sort of an option, a blanket underneath for your comfort, and a second blanket for sitting on only if you need it. You don't necessarily have to have it, but we're going to start in butterfly pose. So our kidney meridian runs on the inside of the leg all the way up into the groin and into the belly. Our bladder meridian runs from the crown of the head through the eyes all the way down back the body through the entire back side of the body. So we're working with some back bends here too. But pulling your feet in closer than you feel normally comfortable with, this is going to be a little bit different. Getting where you feel that sensation on the inside of the leg. So starting up nice and tall and then allow yourself to just fold forward. I like to sit on a blanket or a block to give me a little bit of pelvic tilt naturally. We're not pushing or forcing this, but as you start to fold forward, you'll feel more of that emphasis on the inside of the leg. Taking your first few breaths here, inhaling deeply, exhaling a nice long extended exhale, maybe through your mouth. Relaxing the muscles of your legs and back and head. No gripping or pulling through the hands, just softening. Maybe here connecting to the flow of your breath. Repeating softly to yourself, I am creative and connected. Closing your eyes, allowing yourself to check in with sensations that come up. Just about 2 more deep breaths here. And slowly pressing yourself back up to center. Maybe taking your legs out a little bit further, maybe even bringing the feet flat and just windshield wipering those knees side to side. I know the closer my heels come to my pelvis, for me, I feel a lot more of it in my hips and in my inner leg and the outside of the hip. Changes the pose dramatically, right? So for our next pose, we're going to come into tipsy frog. So you can take your blanket out of the way, have your block ready to support your head if you would like that. We're going to come into Sphinx to start with. Elbows either wide, if that feels better for your shoulders and for your lower back, or further out away from you. The more they are underneath the shoulders directly, the more you're going to feel that in the lower back. And then you're going to slide that right knee out to the right. It's sort of a half frog. So here's where if you wanted to, you could rest your head on a block. Or you don't have to. You can keep it up if that feels better. You're going to feel a little bit off center, so don't worry about trying to get that right hip all the way down to the floor. You may have that opening in your hip and you may not. That may just be in your bones. You feel that little bit of compression on the inside of the knee and the inner leg, inside of the foot. And then allow the shoulders to soften down the back. You're going to feel more of this in the back body, a little bit of a back bend here for your bladder meridian. Repeating to yourself, I am creative and connected. Feeling the flow of your breath and connecting to that natural flow that occurs inside of you. That water element. Fluidity of creative sense, fluidity of relationships that you have in your life, that more creative, sensual side of yourself. Just about one more minute here. Checking with your body and feeling if you feel any muscles engaging or gripping. And just breathing into that space. Last deep inhale and exhale. Slowly start to bring that right heel in. Shift that leg back behind you. Take a couple of breaths here just in Sphinx Pose. Let everything kind of realign. Maybe wiggle your heels side to side. Shake your hips a little bit. And then leaning a little bit over to the right, taking that left knee out, left ankle in line with it. Settling into the spot. You may need to readjust where your elbows are at or where your block is for your head. Coming back to your affirmation or intention, I am creative and connected. Just a few more deep breaths. Slowly start to bring that heel in. Move your block out from underneath your head and settle your elbows out to the side, forehead on the back of your hands. Rock your hips side to side. And slowly take your hands underneath the shoulders, press all the way back. You come into downward facing dog just for a breath or two. You walking your dog out a time or two, rocking the hips side to side, shaking your head out yes and no. And then slowly start to walk your feet towards your hands and your hands towards your feet. You're going to take your feet about hip distance apart. We're going to take dangling pose. So I like this pose because I bend the knees quite a lot. Just relax down. Just let your arms hang, your head hang. Nothing more to this pose other than this. We won't be here terribly long. This is a great pose for the bladder meridian running all the way down the back side of the body. Kind of like to think of it as a reverse waterfall. Feel the back of the body spreading, the hips softening. Feel that space across the sacrum just spreading and relaxing. Letting gravity do all the work here for you. Just a couple more deep breaths. Notice if gravity can pull you a little bit deeper for these last few breaths. And slowly start to walk yourself all the way back. Maybe come into a wide knees child's pose just for a few breaths here. Hands underneath your forehead. And then gently moving your props off to the side, coming all the way down onto your back. For a little twist here. So go ahead and take your feet super wide as your mat, or maybe even off to the sides of your mat. Arms out to the side, and just start to windshield wiper your knees side to side a little bit. And when you next get over to the right, just go ahead and drop, over to the left. Let your knees drop over to the left and just let them hang out there. You can lift your head and turn and look over the right shoulder. Don't try to force anything, just let gravity kind of slide everything into place. Repeating your affirmation, I am creative and connected. Connected not only in your relationships, but connected to your creative flow, your sensual side. Fluidity and water and flow. Noticing your breath, extending that exhale, releasing any tension you hold in the body for this last minute of our pose. Breathing into those spaces, releasing, relaxing, allowing. Start to turn your head back to center, engage your core, bring those knees back through the middle, hands to your belly, knees drop together. Constructive rest here, just allowing those knees to come into a tent position. Noticing how one side feels and how that shift in energy occurs after the pose is over. And then here again, taking those arms out to the side, starting to windshield wiper side to side a little bit here. The wonderful thing about ending a practice with a twist is it brings everything kind of back to balance. So this time when you next get over to the right, just drop those knees over to the right, wherever they may land. You can lift your head and turn and look over your left shoulder. Close your eyes, settle into the pose. Oftentimes the second side is a little bit easier simply because we've already done one side. Here again, checking in with your breath, with whatever sensations are coming up on this side. Keeping in mind that each side is different and unique. You may feel something very different on this side, or it may be exactly the same, or you may feel nothing at all. Repeating affirmations to yourself again here softly. I am creative and I am connected. Starting to inhale your head back to center. Engage your core. Bring those knees back through the middle. Hands to your belly, feet wide, knees together. Take a few breaths here. And then for Savasana, you can either take your heels out to the corners of the mat or keep that same tented position. Gently slide the shoulder blades underneath, arms out to the side, palms up. Maybe inhaling a couple of times through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. If you have more time to spend in Shavasana, I urge you to spend as long as you can in this beautifully soothing, restful pose. But if this is all the time that you have, go ahead and walk your heels together. On an inhale, take your arms up overhead, stretch through your fingertips, stretch through your toes. Find length in the entire body, and then exhale, roll over to your right side, taking a nice deep inhale and exhale here. And gently pressing yourself up to whatever seated position you like best. Keeping your eyes closed or open, taking your hands palms up onto your knees or in your lap. On an exhale, dropping those fingertips down to the floor. Inhale, sweeping the arms up and over, opening your eyes. Exhale, hands to heart. Peace and namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this sacral chakra practice. Keep repeating that affirmation to yourself. I am creative and I am connected, to really connect you to that flow, that water element, the flow that naturally exists in your life. Have a great week.